Welcome to Skill 247 Avenue. In this video, we are going to look at how to use relative reference, and we'll also look at how we can use absolute reference, and we'll also look at how we can use mixed reference. Let's get started. So I have my data here, which we are going to use for our lesson. Now let's go ahead and look at how we can use the relative reference. So I have my data here. I have item, I have price, I have quantity, and then I have the total. Now I want to multiply the price of the item book and then the quantity. So let me bring my equal sign. So I'll click on this, which is cell B2, and then I'll multiply it by this. So my formula is equal sign B2 multiplying C2. So I'll go ahead and hit enter. So when I hit enter, I have my answer here. Now I want to copy the answer or the formula I used to calculate this answer into the rest of the cells here where we have the total. But before I do that, I have selected my answer, which is 20. So let's look at what we have in the formula bar here. So the formula we used in finding the answer 20 is right here, which is B2 multiplying C2. So let's copy our formula using the autofill feature. So I'll bring my mouse pointer here at the right bottom corner of the cell. There's a dot there. I'll place my pointer there until it turns into the skinny plus sign. So I'll click and drag it down to copy my formula. So you realize that when I copy my formula down, it calculates the rest of the answers for me. So when I click on the second cell, now let's go to the formula bar and look at the answer we have there. You realize that the formula has changed from equal sign B2 multiplying C2 to equal sign B3 multiplying C3. Now let's look at the third one. So look at the third one too. It changes to equal sign B4 multiplying C4. So this is how the relative reference works. So realize that relative reference move with the formula when you copy them. Excel automatically adjusts to the new row or column. So this is how the relative cell works. Now let's move ahead and look at how we can apply the absolute reference. Let's assume that we have 10% tax rate. So 10% will be 0.1. So I have it here. I want to apply the 10% tax rate to the totals I have here. So, and I want my answers to appear here. So now what we are going to do is that we'll make this cell which contains the 10%, which is cell F2. We are going to make this cell an absolute cell, meaning we'll add a dollar sign. Since we are making the cell absolute, we'll lock the column, which is column F, and we'll also lock the row, which is row 2. So we'll put a dollar sign in front of the F, and then we'll also put a dollar sign in front of the 2, meaning we've locked the entire cell. We've made it absolute. So when you make a cell absolute, so when you copy it to another cell, it will still refer you back to the cell which has been made an absolute. So let's come here and type our answer. So equal sign. So I want to apply the tax rate to this total, which is in D2. So I'll click on D2, and the D2 is already in my cell here. So I'll add my multiplication sign, which is the asterisk. So now I'm going to add the absolute reference. So we have dollar sign, F dollar sign 2. So that means we've made this cell an absolute cell. That means when you copy this formula to another cell, it will still refer us back to the cell F2, meaning that the cell is an absolute cell. So let's hit on enter. We are going to use the autofill feature to copy our formula to the rest of the cells. So let's drag it down and copy our answers. So now I'm currently clicking on let's click on the first answer, which is 2. Now let's go to the formula bar and look at the answer we have there. So the answer is D2 equal sign D2 multiplying the absolute cell F2. So we have the dollar sign F dollar sign 2, meaning that the cell is an absolute cell. So let's come down here to the second answer, which is 1.5. Now look at that. It is still referencing the cell we made an absolute cell, which is cell F2. So you can see that nothing has changed except the cell where the answer is in. So it is showing the cell where the answer is in, but our formula or our absolute cell reference is still here. So let's look at the third answer, which is 2. So look at what we have. Still, our absolute cell is still there, which is dollar sign F dollar sign 2. So this is how we apply the absolute reference. Now let's look at how we can apply mixed reference. So let me come to G2 here. So now let's look at how we can apply the mixed reference. So the mixed reference is a mixture of both the absolute and then the relative reference. So let's look at the first one. The first one, we are going to lock only the column. That means we apply the dollar sign to the column, but we'll leave the row like that without any dollar sign, meaning the row becomes relative. I want us to lock the column of this cell, but we'll make the row relative. So dollar sign B2 multiplying this C2. So let's hit enter. Now let's use our autofill feature to copy the formula to the rest of the cell. So now let me click on the first cell which contains the first answer, and then let's come to our formula bar to look at it. So if you look at our answer, if you look at our formula here, it says equal sign dollar sign B2. That means the dollar sign is locking the column, but the row is free. Now let's click on the second answer. So when we click on the second answer, you see that still the column is fixed, which is B, but the row number has changed from B2 to 3. So now we have dollar sign B3, but the first one was dollar sign B2. So that means the column is fixed, but the row is changing. Now let's look at the third one. So when we click on the third one, you can see that still the column is fixed, but our row has changed to row 4. So this is how we apply the mixed reference. So in this lesson, we've looked at how to use the relative reference, the absolute reference, and then the mixed reference. Before I go, check the description of this video for the link to the Q&A session, or check the pinned comment. for the link to join me for the Q&A session. I'll be waiting for you there.